This is TV 10 and 55 Focus, a program dealing with issues affecting everyone on Long Island and the tri-state area. Now your host, Richard Rose.
Hi, I'm Richard Rose, and welcome to Focus. And this week, if you were paying attention at all, it was all about the police precinct closure in Nassau County at a contentious hearing of the legislature. Take a listen.
Myself
You
and Commissioner
you were not in mid-sentence.
Presiding Officer Schmidt, I'm trying to show you all the respect.
And I'm trying to show you
please.
all the respect as well.
Well, then let me finish my questioning of Commissioner Dale.
Commissioner Dale, do not negotiate in public.
I don't.
And
We're not, Mr. Schmidt, there's no negotiations in public.
The rancorous and tense debate between Republicans and Democrats began as soon as legislators began questioning Police Commissioner Thomas Dale, with Democrats demanding a vote on closing precincts be tabled until negotiations with police unions over concessions had been completed.
Why would legislators ever vote on something as is when it's still subject to negotiation? I vote to table.
But the tabling motion was then defeated by Republicans, who used their 10-9 majority to then approve closing the precincts. Commissioner Dale said the 8th and 2nd precincts would be the first affected by the consolidation plan.
We have a 2-month timetable for each one, but it's an approximate. It may take a little while longer to get the next one done.
The majority Republicans also heard an earful from a fellow Republican, Dan Levy, who's mayor of a Great Neck village.
As well. And the bottom line is, it's not about a threat, who's going to vote for whom. The bottom line is closing the 6th precinct, combining it with a 3rd, is going to be a devastating effect to the residents of Great Neck.
And there you have it. Mayor Dan Levy then going on to say that he'd like to get some of the police tax money to set up his own police force in the village, along with some other villages, and setting off what would be an utter revolt on the part of some of the villages there. And in the midst of all that, we bring our guests on. It's our pleasure to have you join us today, Nassau County Executive Ed Mangano, and our new Police Commissioner in Nassau County, Thomas V. Dale. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you.
And certainly, not boring times in Nassau County, Mr. Mangano. What's your thought after hearing that story, and what's your take on how this has been portrayed?
Well, it's just reflective of misinformation. The fact of the matter is that this is an administrative reduction. There will be 8 police facilities in Nassau County today, and there'll be 8 after the consolidation. What we are doing is a realignment. There will be 4 precincts that continue to do all the functions, which include arrest processing, and then there'll be 4 policing centers, which will continue to be open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with police activity, absent arrest processing, and other administrative duties. We essentially take the administrative duties in 4 of the precincts and consolidate them into the other 4 precincts. So what does that mean to the average homeowner? We reviewed the workload in our 8 precincts, which hasn't been reviewed since 1972, and a lot has changed since then.
40 years.
40 years has not been reviewed. And we found that within the 8 precincts, the workload was much lopsided. Some precincts performed 3 times the administrative services than the others. So what we did is we evened out the work, and we found that 4 precincts will have an even amount of workload that could be handled. And then we eliminate 148 positions, 148 administrative positions. We take 48 of those positions and we put them back into the patrol function, and they will be stationed in the policing centers. And we eliminate 100 administrative jobs. That's 100 less paychecks that people in Nassau County will pay, and that's where your savings are.
Okay, we have a lot to ask for both of you gentlemen. We're going to get to Commissioner Dale, who was actually appointed and approved at this, confirmed at this legislative meeting. We want to talk about you're taking on this new job as well and your background. But let's get a little bit more into the details, and then we'll hear from Commissioner Dale. Right away, the PBA president, James Carver, is saying that these 48 officers will not be seen on the street. Well, he's disputing that anyone will actually see them doing patrol duties.
Well, let's look at it this way. You had the administrative positions that we're eliminating that you would never see on the street. Okay, they come to the precinct in their personal cars, they don't have police cars, they do their administrative work and they leave. Here we're replacing them with 48 patrol officers that have police cars and are permitted to leave the precincts and permitted to leave the policing centers. We are placing them into the POP Cop program, and what that means is the program where they are charged with becoming more familiar with the community, crime trends in the community, and then can respond.
Well, Commissioner Dale, I guess the bottom line from critics is, whether you would dispute what their political motivation might be, is they are claiming that this plan will make the communities less safe. You are the new police commissioner. Do you think this plan that you're going to oversee will make the communities less safe?
No, and I say that when I first came on board, one of the major things I had to do was take a look at the precincts. And we know we're like any other agency in Nassau County. We have to do more with less. And we had on the table, when I first came in, several different plans to realign precincts. And we looked at it, I put a team together, and I told my first order was actually, however we're going to do this, it's going to be safety is going to be our #1 issue. That's our major concern.
You concerned that there was a recent spike in burglaries, some people calling it an anomaly if you compare it to past years. Are you concerned that this sends a signal to the criminal element that it might be time to, it's a ripe season for them?
Well, I hope to catch as many criminals as possible. And quite frankly, in the last month, we've arrested 77 people for burglary in 1 month. Our burglary numbers are high right now. It is a great concern of mine, and we are addressing it as we speak. We change our tactics almost on tactics and deployment almost on a daily basis as the numbers come in through our intelligent-led policing. And we will stay on top of that until we get to it and we bring it down where it should be, which is got to get it pretty low.
Right. Yeah. Everybody would like 0, but
Exactly.
I know you're going to be
Absolutely.
satisfied till you got
Yes.
that. And you have a vast experience that we want to talk about going back into New York City and some of what you did there, including for 9/11, and why you were chosen by the county executive for this position. But you're also a policeman at heart, I'm sure, and so you know the rank and file is bitter about this. What do you do about that?
But what you got to do is you got to explain. You have to talk. You have to meet with the leaders. I meet with the officers. I ride around. I go on calls for service. I see the officers in the street. I listen to the radio. When I go down to the barbershop, when I go to the candy store, when I go to my cleaners, everybody talks to me in my neighborhood about it, and I get the message out as best as I can, and to let them know that this plan is a safe plan, and it's going to work.
Was this plan, when did it come up? It was a surprise to a lot of people when it happened, and you've been talking about getting concessions from the unions, and there wasn't a whole lot of progress there.
Realignment should not have been a surprise. We were looking at efficiencies in the county since I took office. One of our goals is to eliminate duplicative services, and we focused in on all departments, including the police department, with respect to administrative services. And this was an analysis. As you know, realignment has been discussed. At one point, we considered closing one precinct in its entirety. At one point, 2 precincts were considered. And after thoughtful consideration, looking at the workloads and the comparison of the workloads and listening to the community, we came up with a plan that keeps all 8 facilities open. So there should not be the word closure used. That's misinformation and fear-mongering tactics that are used. If you had a precinct in your neighborhood, if you're one of the precincts that are becoming policing centers, and you as a citizen visit that policing center, you will be greeted by a uniformed officer. They will be able to take any report that you have. They will be able to deliver the DMV reports, which is the most common report going there. To be honest with you, the only person inconvenienced here is maybe a criminal who is processed at a different center, where they may be processed in a precinct or processed in our headquarters. But that will save you, the taxpayer. 100 duplicative jobs are being eliminated. That's 100 paychecks less. The policing centers go on, and you wind up with more cops on the street. It's more cops on the street, less in seats. Those are the numbers that'll bear out.
177 patrol cars is what you're saying will continue to be.
Nassau County presently is patrolled by 177 separate geographic areas, each with a marked police car. Those police cars change duties in those geographic centers. It's not like, the old movies you used to watch where a sergeant gives out the command and everybody gets in their police cars and leave the precincts. That's not what happens this day. Maybe in '72 it happened, but in 2012, the police officer changes shifts in the neighborhood it patrols. They enter the car, they punch in, if you will, they sign in for work, they receive all their intelligence and briefings, and they do their reports on the computer that's in the car.
Meanwhile, negotiations go on, and we want to hear more about that. We have to take a break. We'll be back with our guest, Nassau County Executive Ed Mangano, and the new police commissioner in the county, Thomas Dale. Stay with us.
TV 10 and 55 Focus now continues.
Hi, I'm Richard Rose, and welcome back. We're here with Nassau County Executive Ed Mangano and the new Police Commissioner in Nassau County, Thomas Dale. Commissioner Dale, do you get involved in these negotiations with the unions? I know we're trying to negotiate concessions. Do you have a hand in that at all?
I'm not involved in the direct negotiations, but I'm kept aware intimately on what's happening during the negotiations, but I do not negotiate.
So you're really just involved in running the department, overseeing
Correct.
the department?
Correct.
And policing operations. I think sometimes people don't always understand that, Ed. That's your duty, right?
Sure.
But where do those negotiations
It's the
stand right now?
administrative duty, and what people should understand, the day-to-day negotiations basically involve labor attorneys going back and forth over arduous contractual details. We set the policy, we set a policy of the savings that need to be achieved, and also the public safety policies, such as we demand that we'll keep 177 patrols patrolling our neighborhood, and our policy says there have been more cops on the street, less in seats. And that's what we reflect in our negotiations with our unions. Our labor unions here in Nassau County, a little bit different than what's going on in the state, is that our contracts are not open. They're not open until 2015, the end of 2015. So any change in the contract basically involves a voluntary agreement between the labor leaders and the administration. And that's what we're doing now. We continue to talk as we believe you need to achieve additional labor savings.
Anything
from
you
these
can tell us about
contracts.
at this point?
I would tell you there's two separate issues going on. I think with relation to the policing centers and the 4 precincts, we have discussions ongoing on how that's going to operate. The police unions have been very professional. We're coming in and we're working together for the application of the new policing centers to make them as efficient and as safe as we demand here in the county of Nassau.
What about the issue of getting a supermajority where you need the Democrats to give you some of the votes in order to approve the incentive package for officers who want to retire? How important is that?
Right.
And it also affects, the certiorari property tax settlements.
Sure. Well, let me say this. Our plan will eliminate 100 administrative positions. And how it works in the county of Nassau, I only have the power to lay off. So if you lay off, you're subject to civil service rules, which basically makes what's known as a bump and retreat. So say, Richard, I want to eliminate you and your job and the functions that you do. Civil service tells me I have to eliminate Tom here because that's what the work rules say. So how you maximize savings, and this has been thoroughly reviewed by the staff of NIFR, our oversight board, and agreed upon by my administration, our Office of Management Budget Review, been agreed upon by the majority of the legislature and indicated in that manner, is that the voluntary retirement incentive maximizes the savings for the taxpayers by encouraging the higher paid people to leave the employer of the county.
So if Democrats don't approve this or give you the supermajority because you need some of their votes to get it, what happens? You're forced to do layoffs?
They will be doing a disservice to the residents of the county of Nassau. They will be ignoring the review of our oversight board. They will be costing the taxpayers more money, and quite frankly, newer people that have been hired in the police department will lose their jobs. It's bad on all levels. It's irresponsible and it's an obstructionist view. And I am very confident that they will come to their senses and see that the proper way to go here is to support the views of, again, our control board with respect to the fact that it maximizes savings to approve the voluntary retirement incentive, which, by the way, that most of those legislators have approved in the past in the prior administration.
Commissioner Dale, again, this is a political question. You're not directly involved in the negotiations, but I'm sure you hear from the officers. Do they want this package approved so they can do the incentives? Do you hear any feedback yourself?
I'm sure some of the officers, especially the senior officers, are very interested in the package. And yes, I've had talks with them, and some of them are quite interested in it.
Yeah, so because they would prefer that to layoffs, I'm sure. I mean, you must
Absolutely.
be hearing that, that the main thing is to avoid layoffs of the police department, which would have been unthinkable just years ago. How does this affect you in taking over in a county as the new police commissioner, where you hear this kind of talk of layoffs and people cutting back and demanding concessions? Does this affect your vision for what you had in mind for taking this job?
No, it really doesn't. I was laid off in 1975 in New York City for 3 days. So I personally have gone through issues like this, and I think that what it's done to me since I've been here is given me a solid foundation to address these issues right up front, rather than wait for months and months and years for them to come. They're coming at us right now, and we're going to look at each issue as it comes right in front of us, and we're going to attack it.
Do you feel like there's been a lack of respect for what the police officers in Nassau County do? I mean, what's the pulse of the rank and file officer amidst all of this?
Well, I'm a resident of Nassau County. I'm also a former police officer, and I always had a lot of respect for everybody in Nassau County. As the police commissioner, I have tremendous respect for what I have seen being done on a day-by-day basis by the members of Nassau County. Since I've been here, I've seen some acts of heroism that I've seen in my whole life, and it amazes me that the professionalism of the Nassau County cops.
So this is just the economic reality, right, Ed? Because,
Well,
I mean,
you've heard me many, many times. I have the utmost respect for our police force, the job that they do, the danger they put themselves in to protect ourselves, and we support them significantly in my administration. We support them with the proper equipment. We support them with proper intelligence, and we praise their good duties. And we will continue to do that. The fact of the matter is this is an elimination of duplicative administrative positions that the people of Nassau County can't afford. They don't have the luxury in this economy at this time to continue paying for services that could be performed more efficiently. This has nothing to do with public safety. Public safety at the street level, the patrol level, is being increased. We're putting more cops in the streets. Since I took office now and through our administrative consolidations, after this plan goes through, there will be 88 more offices assigned to the patrol function. The only reduction that you've seen during our administration is administrative jobs.
Okay, one of the unions complaining that, we should be looking elsewhere, that, they're being asked to take the brunt of these cuts, that some of the legislators who were in favor of them, yourself, when you were a legislator, approving contracts with police officers, and now it's come to this. They feel you should be looking elsewhere and not looking to them, that they're being asked to take too much of the pain.
Look, Richard, in these times, in these very tough economic times, we have to look everywhere. There's no exception where we can allow excess to survive, excess to continue, and waste to continue. So we continue to look everywhere. There's no exception in any one of our departments. I liken my taking over the county and being in charge and coming into office as buying a 150-year-old house. There are so many things wrong, and it was almost like a confession that everybody's told me, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. So we try to concentrate on one side of the house, perhaps fix the foundation, and critics and pundits, they run to the other side of the house that you didn't get to yet and say, well, this is broken, you got to address this, you got to do this. We are taking a very surgical, methodical approach to saving our taxpayers' money without jeopardizing services, and it's a very, very difficult task, but it's one that needs to be accomplished. Everyone, I talk to our citizens, they all know there's something wrong. There's something wrong in our county, our state, and our country. And if you don't
Suffolk
realize
County,
that, then there's an issue. Suffolk County now has problems.
$530 million
Problems throughout our country. The time to reform is now, and that's what we're doing in our administration.
Okay, we have to take another break, but we'll be back with our guests. Stay right there.
TV 10 and 55 Focus continues.
And welcome back. And I wanted to ask the new commissioner in Nassau County, Thomas Dale, tell us about your background. Not everybody's familiar with you.
Well, I was born in Brooklyn, then moved to Astoria. We got married in 1970, and I moved to Long Island. I've been in the same house since about 1971. 2 children, 4 grandchildren. My education, I started St. Patrick's Grammar School, went to Rice High School, and then I went to Iona College. I have a master's degree in criminal justice from the John Jay College in Manhattan, and I have went to the Columbia University Police Management Institute.
And you served in the New York City Police Force. And what rank did you rise to there?
Yes, I served 41 years in the New York City Police Department. During that time, I rose through all the ranks up to the Chief of Personnel.
So you've been through some of these issues before.
I've been through a lot of these issues before, yes, sir.
And you can't hide in New York City being a police officer. That's a line of fire type job. So certainly you're walking into the fire to be, earning your stripes.
Right.
You probably do you feel like that prepared you well for this job?
Yes, a lot of the experience I had in New York City has definitely prepared me to handle these things that we're going through right now in Nassau County. My experience in all different parts of the department, from a detective to sergeant to administrator to field commander to all the different positions that I held in the New York City Police Department, I feel have given me a wealth of knowledge and experience that I can use now in my current position as the head cop in the area where I live.
Even in spite of what's going on, all these contentious claims and criticisms, no second thoughts about being in this position right now?
No, I've always loved being a police officer. Police officers been in my family since after World War I, when they got out of the Army, they all joined the police department, and we've been in it since then, including my son, and I hope my grandson someday will go into it too. No, I love being a cop.
Head County Executive Mangano, tell us why you wanted Thomas Dale to be the commissioner in Nassau and why you chose him.
Well, first you've heard his distinguished credentials. 41 years in the New York City Police Department, rising to a 3-star chief, one of the 8 in the entire New York City Police Department. We are honored to have him serve and lead our police department. Tom Dale, we were looking for someone from the outside to give our department a fresh look, fresh ideas. There's been some issues with disciplinary issues and other issues, and we want to make sure we have someone at the helm that can highlight the high-quality police service that we deliver here in Nassau County and bring the honor and distinction that the police department has earned. And I think to do that, we need some fresh ideas. We need to shake it up a little bit, and Tom has those credentials to do it professionally and with the respect of the officers that are in the employ of the Nassau County Police Department.
I get the same question for you. You've been in this job a little over 2 years. Still glad you have this job? It's not been easy,
It's a
right?
very challenging job because reform is always met with severe opposition. Special interests are very well funded. I mean, the last election that went through, I wasn't even running for office. I spent like $600,000 in messages against our reforms. And the fact of the matter are, these are important reforms that need to take place that save significant dollars our taxpayers clearly do not have to fund government. So we want to deliver those services more efficiently. We've looked at public-private partnerships. When the MTA demanded $26 million more, we found a new operator of our bus system, and we saved $30 million. When we looked at our jail, we found that we were spending so much money transporting prisoners for health care. Every time a prisoner was sick or stubbed his toe, we'd have to bring him to the hospital. It'd take 2 correction officers, massive amount of money. We sought to establish a clinic within our jail. We have reduced the visits, 4,000 trips to the hospital to 200. We saved 10,000 hours of overtime, and I've saved our taxpayers close to $6 million. Last night, you reported our purchasing consortium. We want to help other municipalities save money, too. We started a purchasing consortium. Last night, we just reported $9.5 million saved. $9.5 million saved by working with our school districts, our fire districts to collectively bring our buying power together and save money.
So you've had some successes. Why is the property tax certiorari settlement issue so... Why can't that be solved? That really is a huge drain on the county.
Richard, we laid out a plan. If you remember, my first, after being elected, I came to your show, I laid it out. I told you how bad the system was. I told you how much debt had already been accumulated. We set forth a plan that takes that debt, it levels it out, and ends borrowing once and for all over a 4-year period. Our control board believes that's the way to go. To do it, you need 13 votes in the legislature to execute a plan that gets rid of these bad policies without demanding more money from you this year in this bad economy. We urge our legislature to come together, provide the 2/3 votes necessary to comply with the plan that gets us out of these bad policies, these disastrous things that have wasted billions of dollars. That's billions with a B of your dollars wasted. We need a 2/3 vote of that legislature to execute this plan, solve the problem without costing you more dollars in this bad economy. I urge you to contact your legislature, tell them, stop the obstructionists, stop the politics, come to the table, work with us, work with our financial control board, and solve the problem.
All right, that'll have to be the last word. We want to thank our guest today, Nassau County Executive Ed Mangano, and the new Police Commissioner in Nassau County, Thomas V. Dale. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
And thank you for being there. I'm Richard Rose. Be sure to join us next week for yet another edition of Focus.